I were married January 24th, 1941. So we came over here to live. I went to St. Peter's Church. It was quaint. I loved the windows, everything about the church. It was just so homey and friendly. And I thought, oh, I'm just going to love this. But some of the people were rather strange. I wasn't used to all these old people, as I was 19.
Just getting started here.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. I was really a member over at the Methodist Church for a number of years, which I sang in their choir and that sort of thing. And my parents' background was Baptist down here on the other corner. So I got in the Episcopal Church through my first wife. And her name was Barbara Woods. And her family was Episcopalian. And she introduced me to the first church service in here. And I think we had at that time a guy by the name of Father Leak. He had the service, and he had a high church service, which I wasn't used to. And I didn't have any idea what to do, whether to crawl under the pew or jump over the top of it.
Hello, my name is Ann Jenkins, and I've lived here most of my life, except I think I lived for 9 months in San Diego, California. But my grandparents went to church here, and my mother was a Methodist for a while, but then she came to the Episcopal Church. When Bill and I came back here after we were married, we looked at churches, and we visited several, and he didn't seem to care which one we went to, so we came back here where I felt at home.
Oh, all right. I'm Bobby Holzer, Roberta W. Holzer, and I was born in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. And we had the smallest house on a big block in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. And all the houses on both sides had indoor furnaces and that sort of thing. We didn't have that. And we had a coal fire in the bedroom. It was my favorite place, and it didn't bother me. I thought we had a wonderful home because when Christmas came, I could invite all my friends, and we wrote letters to Santa Claus, and we could put them up hold them in the fireplace and run outside and see them going in the air. And we were sure they were on their way to the North Pole. So I had been an Episcopalian all my life. But I started to church very early. Mm-hmm. And my mother and all her family were in the Episcopal Church. My father was a Baptist. Charles and I started going to church at the Methodist Church with his parents. And the minister from over there, who was a very good minister, came to call one day, and he asked me if I'd gone to church before, and I told him about the church I loved in Point Pleasant and all. And he said, you know, as much as I'd love to have you stay in my church, I would forgive you if you went over to the little Episcopal Church here. Said it's badly in need of some help. Many years later, I was president of Church Women United, and he was the speaker. And I got to introduce him to the minister who came to call on me and advised me to go to another church.
One of the first things that happened that kind of sold me on the church was Casey Wilson was the rector here at that time, and he was also in service in Korea. He was in my house. I lived in a little apartment up here on Pine Street with my wife, and of course we shared duties. She was back working at the hospital at that time. I was mopping the floor, heard a knock at the door, and somebody opened the door and yelled, "Anybody home?" So I turned around and looked, and I seen, here comes this guy with a white collar and this sort of thing, and I said, "Oh." here I've got a beer sitting on the kitchen table, and I'm mopping and doing my doors. That was really about the first introduction to the Episcopal Church. Yeah, I said, would you like to have a beer? He said, well, yes. And he got to be a regular beer customer. He loved to do what they call shortwave radio, and he'd come at rather odd hours at night, before 12 o'clock. He'd come in and say, have you got any beer? I always have beer. So I'd give him a 6-pack, and he'd take it home, and he'd operate his radio all night. And he'd tell me some of the stories and that sort of thing about talking to people from all over the world.
Oh, the first time that the Reverend Sidney J. Brown came to church, at the end of his service, he said that he wanted to say that if he ever were invited back and found an altar or a church in such a state of disrepair, he would not be ever coming back again. And so Marguerite Beauvais had started coming to church. We took the lectern to her home, and in the meantime we founded a guild. There were about maybe 7 of us. We had all of it out, and we were still desperately polishing to get it back within the week. And when Sid came back the next time, I said, will you come up to my house and have some tea with me? And he said, I would love to, Bobby. And so I had the oldest, dirtiest, unpolished tea service that I carried out. I've forgotten what he said. I wouldn't be able to repeat it probably. But
And the day the bridge fell, there was one couple we were so concerned about. It was right at 5 o'clock hour when people were leaving. And there was a young couple that had twin kids. And we were so worried that he hadn't made it across the river. Oh, it was terrible. And I remember Henny and Dean were going to Columbus that day. Yeah, they came running in here right after it happened. I hadn't heard it. And they said, Mom, we just talked to Dot and Al, and the Silver Bridge is falling. And we knew that you were going to Point Pleasant to visit your mother. And we just knew that you were on that bridge. Well, for some reason I hadn't gone, thank goodness. And I remember my youngest daughter, Libby, was going to Marshall, and she was coming home about that time of day. Fortunately, she was over on Route 2 because she was taking someone that went to Marshall home. And she said she saw it fall. And she said, Mom, I actually saw it fall. And I thought, oh my goodness, I probably have nightmares about that for the rest of my life if I had seen something like that.
Well, if we're being straight out honest, I think it's my search to find God, and I haven't quite found it, I think, is my problem, but I keep thinking I will. I don't know what the answer is. But one of my friends said, really? Like, you don't really know yet? I said, no, I really don't. I wish I did. I wish I did, but I don't. But, there's always hope. There's another day.
Yeah.
So.
the first stories I heard about the Bible were the first one that I really loved was the story of the Good Samaritan. And somehow that's still my favorite story, because that's the sort of thing that everyone seems to forget about. No, I just would like to have all the people in a town working together, and it doesn't have to be in the church or through the church, but I'm sure that it would. Most of the important things that get done seem to get done because of the influence of the church. I mean, there's no question in my mind about that. So I guess I would start out with a whole programs that some expert would put together that would do away with some of the prejudices. It's just ridiculous that people think their own church is the only church and that sort of thing. And I think probably it's fine if some people are Catholic and want to go to the Catholic Church and some are Methodist, and it's good to have the different churches.
Am I dreaming in Technicolor?
Yeah.
Well, I would paint a picture of us with all the churches combined. Melting together. Not that we would still be individual, but as a group melting together and discussing what we could all do to make our community better.